Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now, I've got a very special guest. She's the current AIWF Women's World Champion. Pleased to welcome the one, the only, Ava Brooks. Welcome, Ava, to Wrestling with Heart.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, it's my pleasure. So, where are you from, Ava?
I'm from central Pennsylvania, but whenever I get announced or whatever, I just say Pittsburgh because I'm closer to that side. Philly's pretty far away from me.
Okay, so Pennsylvania, was wrestling something you enjoyed watching as a kid?
I didn't really get into professional wrestling until I started watching the indies. Wrestling was on in my house, but I wasn't the kid that was like, oh, I'm going to sit down and watch this. Oh, whatever. That's more my brother. But I definitely say once I started wrestling, I had that love grow for WWE, AEW. But yeah, it didn't start for me until I was like 14 years old.
Okay, were you like big into sports or dancing or music? What were your hobbies?
Yeah, I've been an athlete my whole life. I started soccer in like first grade, I think, and then it was basketball, volleyball, twirling, and then I ended up quitting all of my school sports, and I switched to online learning during COVID, and then I started getting into all of the combat sports, so MMA, kickboxing, boxing, all of that stuff. Did amateur wrestling for like 6 months, then I broke my hand, so that sucked because I love amateur wrestling. But yeah, and then I got into this. So,
What was your favorite sport that you got to play growing up?
I definitely say basketball. Basketball will always be the first sport that I loved to do. I thought that's what I was going to do with my life. I was like, I'm going to go to the WNBA. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to go to college for it. And then being from a small town and you're in a small school, there's a lot of politics and right last names and stuff. So it kind of made me lose the love for that while I was in school.
It's hard. It really is. But, if you're determined and have the desire to pursue something, you go after it. And now you're into wrestling, started watching at 14 years old. Who were some of your favorites to watch when you first started watching professional wrestling?
I'd say the big ones that I can remember, like Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, those were pretty big as like early as I can remember. Probably those two. I didn't really watch a whole lot of female wrestling until I started training and stuff, because I don't feel like it was taken as seriously as it could have been. But looking even from the time I was 14 to now, the women's division in general, when you look at any women's wrestling, has changed so much.
It's definitely evolved. You had the Divas era, you got into the women's revolution, and you see women like the Bella Twins and AJ Lee and Paige really kind of set that standard. Saraya set that standard for what we see today. And of course, you have Charlotte and Becky Lynch and Mercedes and Bayley and all these others, Rhea and Bianca. I mean, the women's division today in WWE and AEW really kicking things up a notch. So I think it's a pretty good time to be a not only a wrestler, a women's wrestler, but a wrestler in general and a female wrestling fan because there's so much variety.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, now let's switch to your training. So you start deciding this is what you want to do and pursue the sport, in breaking the industry. Talk to me about the training process for you. How was that experience?
So it was a roller coaster, mainly because 3 months before my debut, I ended up getting hurt and made the decision to leave the original training school that I was at. Um, and then whenever I ended up having my debut with Katie Arquette, it was more of like a physical test for me to see where I was training wise, because it wasn't like the first training school did a bad job or anything. It was just we had a point where they taught me everything that they could. At least that's what I believe. And I just needed something different. So I was with them for most of my training up until that debut, for like that 3 months where I was out because I got injured. Um, and then as soon as I debuted, we realized I needed to like work on X, Y, and Z. And I started at Rise with Brandon Kay, and now Glenn Spector is one of our head trainers up there as well. And I'm learning constantly. They're great mentors to have. They will protect you no matter what. Um, so it's just an amazing environment overall.
Any pieces of advice that your trainers are giving you that you're applying to now?
I feel like the biggest thing that I struggled with was because, like, I was an athlete, like I said, my entire life. So I had the athleticism, but my, like, regular athlete cardio for like basketball, volleyball is so much different than wrestling cardio because you have to learn intervals and all of this stuff. So I think adjusting to the different pacing was probably the hardest thing ever. And like they're constantly on me even now, and they're like, Ava, cardio, cardio, cardio. I'm like, okay, I hear you. um but yeah, cardio was probably the hardest thing to get my body to adapt to.
It's a different kind of physical work, and you have to train your body and get used to it over time, and you're building that endurance and muscle, and you're
Mm-hmm.
working these different body parts. So it's definitely something that you have to condition your body to in order to get it right. So
Yeah.
you start training, you learn as much as you can. Talk to me about your first few matches. I'd imagine you were probably nervous, but were
Oh
you
yeah.
talk to me about those first few matches?
So Katie Arquette was the whole reason that I got into professional wrestling. So that whenever I found out, um it was almost a year ago to the day that I found out that Katie was going to be my debut match on my 18th birthday, because you can't debut in Pennsylvania until you're 18. We were at a charity show called Pit Fight. It's held at the Pitt Greensburg campus. And my mentor at the time, his name is Marshall Gambino, he told me like who my match was going to be. And I just like broke down in tears because that was a full circle moment for me. And now, almost like a year later, we have a week until the next Pit Fight show, and I get to work on it this year. Last year, I was just helped setting up, leading ring crew, stuff like that. So it's definitely crazy to see that process. After I had that match, like I said, that was when I determined that we needed to go to a different training school. Next, I was in a rumble, and that was definitely quite the experience because I learned how to go over the top rope that day because I didn't know how. And that was really fun, especially because there was only two girls in it. It was me and another girl that I train with. Um, so then I'm fighting with all these guys, and they're like, hit me. And I'm like, yo, I still got to make sure that I hit my spots that I planned with people first. Um, and then I get thrown over his name by J Rock, and I completely missed the apron. Like usually you hit to fall so that you don't get hurt. I went straight from up in the air to the ground, and they all thought that I died. Another wrestler ended up grabbing him and like started beating him up and was like, "Yo, that was completely unnecessary. You didn't have to throw her like that." And he was like, "No, I know she's crazy. She just fell, like completely missed the apron." So there was that. After that, I didn't really have a full-on singles match until the beginning of this year. It was all triple threat matches. So my first triple threat I had was with Zandra Lee and Zoe Sky at NCW, and they helped me so much because it was only like my third match at the time, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I know my moves, I know what I like want to do, but I'm not sure how triple threats are structured. And now I'm pretty sure over half or maybe half of my matches have been triple threats. After that, I had 2 more triple threats. The first one was with Kalina Keen and Jody Threat up at Big League Pro, and then the next one was with Zandra Lee again, but also with Masha Slamovich in a steel cage at NCW. And those 2 matches, like whenever they happened, I was like, this is not real. Like there is no way that I'm in the ring with one half of the TNA Women's Tag Team Champs, the TNA Knockouts Champion. It was like a realization to me, like this is what I'm doing and how much I love what I'm doing because of these matches that we can put together. So yeah, those were the first few impressions I had on wrestling, and I was just like, the way things can happen is so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're young, you're learning so much about the business. As someone that's an up and coming wrestler, who are some of your dream matches, people that you want to wrestle in the future against?
I would love to wrestle Raylan, Danny Moe, Megan Myers. Let's see who else. Micah, she's from around where I am. Who else? I had a list on Instagram at one point, and now I just like forgot half of them. Kenzie and Kylie Page. I love how they move in the ring. I love how intense they are. But yeah, those are like the ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, those are some really good ones. Yeah, you're working with so many people. You're starting out. You're really putting the fundamentals together.
Mm-hmm.
What's your ultimate goal in pro wrestling?
I feel like everybody. I'm okay. I can't say everybody because some people they're like, I just want to do this on the weekends for fun, whatever, and that's fine. But I want to make it to WWE or AEW someday. That is the ultimate goal. But in order for me to think about that, I have to think of like taking every day in professional wrestling as a day at a time, because thinking about that big goal can get very overwhelming at times, because WWE is the largest known wrestling federation in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it like the goal comes with a lot of pressure, but if I can break it up into just taking it a day at a time, it's a lot easier, and for me I can see it happening more realistically.
Yeah, I mean, enjoy the journey because there's so much out there, so much great wrestling out there today. So make the most of it. Have fun, work hard. You're now the current AIWF Women's World Champion. Tell me the feeling it must have felt when you finally won the belt for the first time.
um it was the whole day was kind of crazy because like I feel like I was in denial, and I was also really scared because the way that I was thinking of it was, okay, so Claire's had this belt for how long, and she's been wrestling for how long, and I'm coming down 8 months in, and they're letting me win this belt, and I was like, what if she doesn't like me? What if she doesn't like that I'm taking the belt? So I feel like I do that a lot. I overthink everything, and I need to work on that, but I was very nervous, and then whenever I met her and everything was like fine, whatever, I relaxed a little bit. But so a lot of these companies, they see me and I have a very baby face gimmick. Like whenever somebody sees me, they're like, baby face, good person. Okay. So that's what they run with. Not a lot of people will look at me and be like, oh yeah, she could totally be a heel. And I'm just like, I want to be a heel somewhere, right? So they tell me, they're like, we're going to slowly turn you heel throughout this match. And I was like, okay, cool. And then Clara comes out and they're all cheering her because she hadn't been there in a minute. And I was like, I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, they're going to hate this. Like, they're going to hate when I win this. And they did very much so. I remember there was 3 girls at the admission table. I was looking back at the video and their jaws just dropped and all 3 of them looked at each other like, what just happened? The fans over there immediately started booing me. Some cheered, and then I was put with, like, I call him my agent. His name's Nick Russo. He comes out and congratulates me, and they hate him there. I got the most heat ever. This lady starts booing me. I start booing back at her. I'm like, I'm your champ now. It doesn't really matter. And I just walk away. But getting to the back and, like, even the people that I just met that day were so, like, I don't know how to put it, very accepting. And it felt great to know that I had all of their support as well, because, like, it was my first time there. I didn't know what to expect, but I made a lot of new friends that day. And the day overall was just a very good day, other than it being so cold that I got sick for a week. But it was a super fun time, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience with AIWF and winning the belt and the whole situation in general.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it goes up and up from here and continue the success. I want to switch gears and talk about some of the stuff you've done outside of wrestling. I know that you're very involved with helping tutor young school children and are also looking to pursue a career in the medical field. Tell me about some of the stuff you've done to help out in your community.
So the tutoring part is actually, so I'm part of a smaller school because I originally wasn't going to go to college at first. I wanted to take the year to focus on wrestling, take a gap year, and then I was going to go back. But I was very bad in high school when it came to my grades and my studies. And I'm about to expose myself, but I don't even care. My senior year, my GPA was like a 1.98. I still don't know how I passed my senior year. By the grace of God, though, I did. Because it was just a real struggle for some reason. I could not focus or anything like that. So then I had my first term of college. I decided to go to college a month before the school year started, and they were like, okay, so we're rushing admission, we're doing all this stuff, we're getting my FAFSA and all that set up. And then we had a girl who was struggling. And at the end of my first term, I ended with a 4.0. So, like, going from high school where I was like, I don't even know how I passed, to getting a 4.0, I was like, okay, like, I can do this. So the girl that I was tutoring, my teacher came up to me and she was like, Ava, you know, you have this, and this grade in these classes, and she's really struggling. You don't have to, but would you be willing to volunteer during, like, our lunch or our common hour and just sit with her and, like, try to help her understand? And now at this point, I had no one had ever asked me to help tutor somebody. I'm like, what do you mean you want me to help tutor her? But I was like, yeah, I can do that. So I was helping her. We started to get her caught up, whatever. And now anytime that my school has a student that's struggling, as long as I'm doing well in those classes, they're like, Ava can help them. So it's really nice for me to know that my school has that trust in me to help, because, like, I'm the youngest in my class. So and I know that the girl was probably a little annoyed, but I mean, she was close to my age too. But, like, if someone that was younger than me is trying to, like, tutor me in a class, it's like, you're a baby, what do you know? Then I would understand that. But yeah, my school is super supportive with wrestling too, which is super cool. They posted me on their website. They had me bring the belt to school after I won it because everybody wanted to see it. they all were holding it. They're like, oh my God, this is so heavy. You just get a workout from holding it. It was the funniest thing ever. Our one director, I took the belt to him, and it was like giving a baby a lollipop. It was the funniest thing. Like, his eyes just lit up, and it was the funniest thing. And I was just like, those moments are why I'm glad that I chose to go to a smaller, like, community college than a big university, because it's more one-on-one. There's smaller classes, and we all get to know each other, so it's like one big family there.
Yeah, and they see that you're reliable and dependable, and they see that you're willing to help someone out when they're not when they're going through such a hard time. I mean, it has to feel good inside and very rewarding to know that you've helped them out, and they're able to succeed because of your hard work.
Yeah, for sure.
What is it about giving back to the community and seeing these kids succeed in school that gives you the most joy?
So I feel like I know that we have to make money in wrestling. Like, that's how it works, right? But even with not helping out at my school, the whole reason I got into professional wrestling was to make younger kids feel the same way that I did whenever I was watching wrestling. So whenever I get to meet these kids after I wrestle on the show during intermission and stuff, it's like, I don't know, it just like makes my heart feel good. So for instance, there was a family at this last ride show that we had our match. It was intermission. I came out, and their youngest girl, I don't know how old she was, but she started like jumping up and down, and she was like, oh my God, it's Ava Brooks, oh my God. And I was just like, I've never had something like that. No, I've had kids like come up all shy because like they don't know what they want to say to me, but they've wanted to talk to me, and their parents are like, oh, they're a fan, whatever, and I'll get a picture with them. But like, and then all three of their kids got a picture, and at the end they were all just like walking away looking at me and smile. And it was just like, those are the moments that I got into this for, because that's how I felt like I was inside. Now, I wasn't as young as they were, so I wasn't going up to them like jumping up and down. They probably would have thought I was weird if I did that, but it's still the same feeling. And being able to bring joy to people and just bring joy to a community in general is a really rewarding feeling.
I love to hear that. Well, Ava, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. It means a lot to me and to my listeners. I want to say thank you for coming on to the show. Where can people find more about you on social media and find out all about the great things that you're doing?
It's at official Ava Brooks almost everywhere. And if you can't find it there, if you go into Google and you put Ava Brooks Professional Wrestling, all of my stuff comes up. There shouldn't be any other information about anybody else that comes up. So my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, all comes up on Google. And then from there is a link tree in my bios. So everything's there, YouTube, whatever else that you're looking for.
Ava, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Take care.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.